This knot is an overhand knot. All you do is just make a loop in the rope, pull the end through, and tighten it up. That's an overhand knot.
A slip knot is an overhand knot tied around a section of rope. You can tie a slip knot without using the end of the rope by making a loop and pulling a section of rope through the loop.
To tie a water knot, simply make an overhand knot in a runner and then retrace with the opposite end or a different colored runner. So you essentially have two overhand knots snug together in one runner, and then tighten each end so that it will not come apart. Make sure you have about 2 inches of a tail on each side.
When tying into an anchor, a common knot to use is the clove hitch. Simply pull the rope across to form 2 loops, tuck them behind each other to form the X, and then clip it into the beaner. Make sure you lock that up, and then you can pull each end to tighten it up, and you should be able to pull on either end and it won't run.
The trick to forming 2 initial loops is to cross your arms, grab the rope, and then uncross your arms. The resulting loops are formed with one lead in front and the other lead behind the rope. Then, simply tuck the loops behind each other to form the clove hitch.
To tie a mounter, we start out with the same 2 loops. Once you have the 2 loops, just like in the clove hitch, to do the mounter hitch, you simply fold them on top of each other. The clove hitch, remember, was tucking one behind the other to form this X. So it's mounter, clove. Fold them together to form the mounter. Then clip the 2 loops into your harness beaner, pull on either rope, and you'll see the mounter knot go back and forth as you switch from belaying in or belaying out.
One of the more common uses of a girth hitch is to secure a runner around an object you're going to use for an anchor, for instance a tree. You take the sewn or tied runner, wrap it around the tree, take one end and pass it through the other end that forms a loop, pull it tight, and you have a girth hitch.
This knot is a double fisherman's knot, and it's used to tie two ropes together. And basically what you do is you take 2 ropes, lie them next to each other opposite, and then take your first rope, the rope closest to you, and wrap it around both ropes going away from you, and then take the end and pull it through the 2 loops you just made. Now take the other rope, which is farthest away from you, and wrap it towards you twice, and then what you want to do is pull the end of the rope through the 2 loops you just made, and then tighten it up. And the important thing is that it be tightened up so that it nests. And when you're finished, what you will have are 2 X's on one side and You can, and then the other side will have 4 strands that are even there.
A bowline can be used to secure a rope directly to an anchor. Make a twist in the rope with the strand of rope going away from the anchor underneath. The end of the rope comes up through the bottom of the loop, all the way around the strand of rope going away from the anchor, and back down through the top of the loop. Pull all 4 ends. Use an overhand knot to tie off the end of the rope.
To tie the figure 8 and the rewoven figure 8, first, at the end of your rope, make sure you have enough length, and I do that by going shoulder to shoulder. Then, form a loop, go around the bottom rope, and up again through the original loop, so that you have a figure 8. Then to reweave the figure 8 and tie into your harness, start from the bottom, go through your harness until the 8 is snug, then you'll retrace the rope and snug it up nice and tight, pulling each end, and then make sure to tie an overhand to back up your figure 8. So you've got a nice snug figure 8 and the backup overhand. To tie a figure 8 on a bight or a loop of the rope, as you would do in the middle of the rope, bring a bight back parallel to the rope. Bring the bight under, then over the rope, forming an 8. Then bring the bight up through the top of the 8. Pull all 4 strands tight, so that you have a loop and a figure 8.
When tying into the middle of the rope, grab a piece of the rope, make a bight, feed it through your harness like you would when you're the end person. And then with the rope going to the other climbers, form a loop. Take the tail and put it through the hole on the side of which the rope is going out to the climbers. Move the rope around it and then back up through the hole the same way that it came out. Cinch the whole thing up and then clip the tail to a carabiner on your harness. And at the end there should be no pull on the tail when there's a pull on the rope.
This is the butterfly coil. We're going to pack this rope away. It's in a coil on the ground. We're going to start the butterfly coil from the middle of the rope. So the first thing we do is find the middle of the rope. Take the 2 ends and we simply flake the rope. Just keep pulling the double rope through. We reach the middle of the rope. Now we're going to form the butterfly coil by taking the doubled rope, holding it in the hand, letting about 2 feet hang down, then form a loop on the other side of your hand of the same length, and then back to the first side, another loop the same length. Keep the loops the same length and just go back and forth and back and forth. You'll note that my hand is getting quite full of rope. For those of you with smaller hands, there is an alternate way to do the butterfly coil. The alternate method of doing the butterfly coil is, again, you start with the middle of the rope, but this time you put it around your neck, have it hang down just about to the waist is the right length. Bring it around the other side and form a loop over there, and then back to the first side. We do the same thing on the other side, and then we go back to the first side, And then the second side, and you see we're making 2 sets of loops. And just keep coiling back and forth until in the end you have tails that are, about 12 to 15 feet long of uncoiled rope remaining. Now to finish the butterfly and make it a nice neat coil that you can wear, you take it off the neck, keep the end of the loops about the same length, and you wrap the rope around itself. Draw it tight to make a nice neat package. Wrap it around a few times until you have just about that much tail left. Then take the doubled rope, bring it through the tunnel on the top, bring the bite out the other side, take this rope, pass it through the bite, and now we have a nice snug coil. Now if you want to wear the coil on your back as you're descending the mountain, you shift it over on your back, pass the tail around your back, bring it in front, finish it off with a square knot, and there you are. One thing to notice is that I made sure that the rope went around the outside of the coil so it captured the coils and it keeps it close to my back so it won't flop as I'm going down the mountain.
One of the more common uses of a prusik knot is to secure a loop of cord to a climbing rope. We have here a chest prusik that we're going to secure to this rope. And we do that by taking the knot on the chest prusik, laying it against the climbing rope, passing the knot around the climbing rope 3 times, and at the same time through the loop of the chest prusik, and then pulling the chest prusik off center so that the knot that ties the chest prusik is out of the way, then going to the climbing rope and properly dressing the prusik knot so all of the strands lay in the proper order. There you have a prusik knot, and when you weight a prusik knot, it locks up. When you tend a prusik knot with your hand, it slides. When you weight it, it locks up.
With the belayer in the position that's going to be used during the climb, the belayer is secured to the anchor by tying a clove hitch into a locking carabiner. Lock this carabiner immediately, but don't tighten the clove hitch down yet. You want to take all the slack out between the anchor and the belayer first, then tighten the clove hitch down. Secure yourself to the secondary anchor the same way, with the clove hitch into a locking carabiner. Lock this carabiner immediately, and don't tighten this knot down again until you get the proper slack. When you pull on the rope from your tie-in, the pull should go directly to the primary anchor. Now that the belayer is secured to the anchor, you can put the climber on belay. Take the rope from where the climber is tied into it, take a bite in the rope, feed it through the belay device, and then clip the bite into your harness biner. Lock the carabiner immediately. As soon as you put your hand on the brake side of the rope, you can tell the climber he's on belay.
On belay?
Belay is on.
Climbing.
Climb on. As the climber is climbing away from the belayer feeds the rope into the belay device with the brake hand and pulls it through the brake device with the other hand. If the climber falls, the brake hand is pulled back to stop the rope from moving through the belay device. Another way to put your climbing partner on belay is to tie a mounter hitch into your harness carabiner. Lock the carabiner immediately. Pull the knot back and forth through the carabiner to make sure you've tied the mounter hitch properly. With your brake hand on the rope, you can now tell your climbing partner that he is on belay.
On belay?
Belay is on.
Climbing.
Climb on. With the mounter hitch, if the climber falls, the correct motion with the brake hand is to hold the rope forward.
Falling.
If your climbing partner falls and you need to get out of the system, you're going to do the fallen climber tie-off. With your brake hand in the brake position, holding the rope back, reach back around your back with your other hand and grab onto the loose rope. Pull this around your back and keep it high on your back so it doesn't slip down underneath you. Start making loops around your foot. 1, 2, and these wraps need to be right down in the arch of your foot. 3 wraps, and then put a half hitch on for the last wrap. In this position, the wraps around your foot are going to replace what your brake hand is doing. But before you take your brake hand off, holding the loose end of the rope with your left hand, loosen the grip with your brake hand, but keep it in position in case you need to grab it. Once you're sure that the loops around your foot are going to hold, you can remove your brake hand from the rope. Now you have 2 hands to use to finish getting yourself out of the belay. Now you need to set up a bypass system that will allow you to transfer the weight of the fallen climber away from the belay device. Start with your hero loop. Tie a prusik knot onto the climber's rope. Clip an oval carabiner into this prusik. Now take a locking carabiner and clip it into your primary anchor. Clip a runner into this locking carabiner. Lock the carabiner immediately. The other end of this runner will clip into your oval carabiner. Take all the slack out of this by pushing the prusik forward as far as you can. Now put your brake hand back in the brake position. Bend your knee so that there's some slack put in the rope behind your back. And now you can use your brake hand to feed rope into the belay device, and you will see the weight of the fallen climber transferred over to the prusik system. Remove the rope from your foot. Once you're sure that the prusik is holding and the bypass system is holding the weight of the fallen climber, you can let go with your brake hand and use both hands to tie a figure 8 and clip it into a locking carabiner on the primary anchor. Lock the carabiner immediately. Take the rope out of the belay device. Now you are clear to get out of the belay system. For tying off a fallen climber when you're using the Munter hitch, the only difference is that your brake hand is forward and you will not be wrapping the rope behind your back. Reach straight out to your foot and make the wraps around your foot, the same as in using the belay device.
The simplest rappel is an arm rappel. To do an arm rappel, all you need to do is take the rope, put it around your back, and then in a swimming motion with your hands going from front to back, loop them around the rope and grab the rope and you're good to go. Be sure and have clothing on so that you don't burn those places where the rope comes in contact with your body. In addition to that, if you want to stop, all you need to do is pull your arm across and you stop like that. Then you're good to go again.
In order to rappel using your belay device or ATC, take a bite of the rope, make sure both strands go through to your device. And if you've got a thick rope, sometimes it's hard to do. Keep forcing it. And then take both strands, make sure they go through your carabiner, lock your biner, you're good to go. Make sure that you keep your brake hand on the downward rope and legs wide, tripod stance. Also make sure you have no gear hanging off of your hip and you're good to go.
Another way to rappel without using the belay rappel device is to use what we call the carabiner brake. It takes either 3 or 4 carabiners, and ovals work much better than Ds. You take the first carabiner, put it through your harness carabiner. Second biner, put in from the other direction so that the gates end up in what we call the opposite and opposed configuration. You can check that out by opening the gates, and if you open them, you'll see that they form an X, opposite and opposed. You take the third carabiner, I'm going to use just 3 for this demonstration, put it across the other 2. Take the rope, both strands, very important, both strands up through the 2 opposite and opposed biners. The third one then goes across as a bridge. Now it's complete. I'm going to do a last-minute visual check. Now I'm all done. I'm going to check one more time before I go off and rappel. These 2 carabiners are opposite and opposed. This one has the gate down and the solid side up, which is what we want. And now I can lean back and go on rappel. With my feet wide apart, legs going straight in, holding the rope right against my hip with a brake hand. Now, one more technique we want to show you. In mid-rappel, you might want to stop. You can do that. I hold the rope here firmly, bring it around the other side and wrap it 1, 2, 3 times around my leg. Now I have a lot of friction on this leg. I can let go with the brake hand. I can go over here and untangle my rope, stop and take a picture, whatever I need to do. Now I'm ready to continue my rappel. Firmly grasp the rope so the brake hand is employed again. Unwrap the rope around my leg 1, 2, 3 times and continue the rappel.
If you'd like to add some security to your rappel, you can install the auto block system. The auto block will automatically stop you on rappel if for some reason you should lose control. Start by setting up your rappel brake, whether it's a carabiner brake or your rappel device, and then take a biner and clip it to the leg loop of your harness on the same side as your brake hand. If your harness has a riser between your leg loop and your waist belt, make sure you clip that beener behind the riser, but clip it to the leg loop. Then take your hero loop and clip it to the beener. Move the knot on your hero loop back towards the beener to get it out of the way. Then pick up the downhill portion of the rope and take both strands of your hero loop, wrap it around the rope, moving downhill with a minimum of 3 wraps. Take the resulting loop after the 3rd wrap and clip it into the beener. Now you've installed the auto block. If you tend the wraps of the auto block with your hand, it'll slide up and down the rope. But if you take your hand off the wraps and lean back into it, the wraps on the rope tighten up and stop you. If you want to continue the rappel, you bring a hand back onto the wraps and loosen them, and down you go. Let go, and you stop. Tend the wraps, and you're rappelling.
Garth, what happened?
Seep fell in the crevasse.
Can you hold him?
I got him though.
Okay, I'm gonna ease up so you're gonna take all the weight.
All right, we've established now that we have a fallen climber, and we're going to show you the steps you go through to set up a Z-pulley. First thing you need to do is get out your ice axe to probe back to make sure there's no crevasses between you and the next person, and you're going to slide your prusik along so that if you do fall, you minimize the distance that you're going to drop. So I'm probing here for any crevasses that might be in between me and the middle climber. All right, once you get past the middle person, about 6 to 9 feet, you want to put your ice axe straight in the ground right here. We've pre-positioned a piece of rebar in order to demonstrate what an anchor, how it would work. Okay, now we would girth hitch a runner right to the anchor. And the way we're going to attach the anchor to the rope is with a prusik, so we can use our hero loop. I'm going to wrap that around 3 times here. And just neaten this knot up. And then we're going to clip right into the anchor. Stretch it out. This gets our first anchor onto the rope. Now I'm going to have the middle person ease up off the rope so we can have the first anchor take all the weight here. Notice the rope should not slip through. So after we've tightened the prusik onto the anchor, we're going to place our foot to hold the anchor in securely. And now we're ready to have the middle person ease up. Garth, why don't you ease up? All right, so the middle person's easing up, and you can see the anchor is taking all the weight right now. So Garth, the middle person's going to step right back here, put his foot on the anchor to guard it. I'm going to take it off. Now he's got the anchor. All right, so he's taking the weight here. All right, now we've got the first anchor in. We're going to set up a secondary anchor that'll be stronger than the first anchor should the first anchor give away. And then we're going to use a picket.
Make an anchor called a dead man, where we place it perpendicular to the force of the pull, about 2 feet deep in the snow.
For the purposes of demonstration, we're going to use this piece of rebar to represent our dead man anchor, which the picket would be in there, and we would connect the anchor right to the picket. All right, so we're going to connect this anchor now right to the prusik that we attached earlier. Secondary anchor with a beener to the prusik. Needs to come under all the ropes so we don't get any tangles later. And now we're ready to put in the pulley and tie a backup knot. All right, we're ready to attach the pulley to the rope here. Take a pulley out. Now we're ready to connect the pulley to the rope to set up the first angle. Connect the beaner through that, and the beaner must go through both carabiners. And the rope leading away from the fallen climber side, we're going to tie a figure 8 on a bight, and we're going to clip the end of that right back into that beaner that's connected to the pulley.
Let's take a closer look at the connections we just made. Here's the runner from the initial anchor and its carabiner, which is attached to the hero loop. This hero loop is attached to the climbing rope with a prusik knot. Here's the runner from the primary anchor, attached to the carabiner, which is also attached to the hero loop. Here's the first pulley attached to the rope on the slack or anchor side of the prusik knot. Here's the carabiner that connects the first pulley to both anchor carabiners. And finally, here's the backup figure 8 knot tied to the rope on the anchor side of the pulley and then clipped into the pulley carabiner.
Okay, we've got both anchors and we've got our pulley in. Now we're ready to set up to go down and set up the final pulley. Our middle person is going to need to anchor in personally and then get out of the rope himself. And he's also going to give me his pulley so that I can set that up down at the end of the rope. I'm going to take his ice axe down to the loop, the edge of the lip, and bury that to pad the rope from entrenching. Okay, once again I'm going to probe for crevasses as I go down. Alright, this is going to simulate our lip right here. I'm going to pad it with this ice axe to keep the rope from entrenching and making it harder to pull up. Final thing we're going to do now is to attach the prusik and another pulley right near the lip. Now I'm going to attach this pulley on the other side of my prusik so that as I prusik back, should I fall, I'm not going to slide down the hill. Three wraps as normal for our prusik knot. Okay, we got that nice and neat. Clip that in there. Make sure we got our pulley action going. And now I'm going to prusik back up the rope.
On the strand of rope attached to the anchor, connect the final pulley on the opposite side of the prusik knot. That's the side that is away from the anchor. This allows you to safely return with your prusik back up that strand of rope without introducing unnecessary slack between you and the anchor.
Alright, we're just about ready to pull on the Z-pulley. I just need to anchor myself to the main anchors and then get out of this rope so that we can begin pulling up. Okay, I've anchored myself in. Now I'll get out of the prusik here. And we need to unclip this knot, untie that, take the slack out of the system, and I'm ready for Garth and I to pull on the rope. We're going to pull gently at first to make sure the prusik tends. Okay, we're pulling the rope. We need to check to see this prusik is tending, which means that the rope should be flowing through the prusik and over the pulley, but is ready to accept the weight should we let it go back. You're going to have to pull hard, and with the Z pulley, we're getting a 3-to-1 pulling ratio, which is going to allow us to pull up a very heavy load with minimal effort. All right, and if I pull this out, you can see more of a Z formation of what the Z pulley is like. If you pulled your Z pulley until the pulleys meet together and you still need to pull your climber up farther, this means you need to reset the bottom pulley. The way we do that is we ease out the rope until the prusik grabs the main rope. Okay, now that we've got our pulley right up next to our other pulley, we pulled as far as we can, we need to reset this pulley farther to the lip. In order for me to do that, I'm going to need to attach to the rope with my prusik and then unanchor so I can go out as far as possible. And now we're free to move this prusik back. Okay, I connect my anchor back, and then I take the prusik back off so that we're going to be ready to pull again. Okay, and we're ready to pull. And that's the Z pulley.